Hey everybody, welcome back to Kratom Kingdome. This is your host Chris Irving in Knoxville, Tennessee, of all places in the world. I want to talk to you today about the best ways to consume Kratom. I mean, there's always, when it first came out big, it was toss and wash, which was you take a spoonful of gross Kratom powder, dump it in your mouth, and then you take a glass of orange juice or water and go, and try to gut it down to your stomach. The problem with that is it gets into your stomach and it separates from the water and doesn't dissolve, so it just sits in your stomach, which makes you sick. It makes you feel sick to your stomach. It makes me feel sick to my stomach, and everyone else that I know that I've talked to about it or read about it said it makes them sick to their stomach. My father, when I gave him it for the first time, he said, "Oh, my stomach feels gross." And but he said, "But my knee pain is gone and my back pain is gone." He's like, so I did a lot of thinking and researching on the best way to consume it. The original way to consume it was the Indonesians, the Thai people. They would pick a leaf off the kratom tree, fold it up into a little piece, and stick it in the back of their teeth and just chew on it. And then it would excrete the juices that would go down their throat, and they would get this Mitragyna speciosa, which is the active alkaloid in in the kratom leaf, which makes you feel better, relieves pain. It kind of mimics an opiate in your brain. It tricks your brain into thinking you've taken a narcotic or heroin or an opiate or whatever, which relieves pain, as we all know. But unfortunately, opiates also give you a really, really amazing euphoria, which kratom will give you a little bit of that, but only in the beginning, because once you start building a tolerance to it, that euphoria isn't nearly as strong. But remember, you're not taking it for the euphoria. If you wanted that, you would do hard drugs, which would be stupid. You're taking it to relieve pain with very little side effects, and making you a non-addict. It actually helps people get off of opiates and heroin. Read a lot of stories about heavy addicts who were killing themselves, who tried to get off of these opiates by themselves, just cold turkey, who would go through hell, sweating, and the pains and the fevers and the vomiting and the horrible mood swings. But with kratom, instead of taking an opiate or a pill, you drink that's my way of doing it, is I make it into a tea and I drink it. What a tea does is it dissolves the powder into the hot water, and I add about 2 teaspoons of sugar in it, because kratom by itself just tastes terrible. And then I put about half a teaspoon of lemon juice in it. And remember, keep your lemon juice in the refrigerator, because as one of my subscribers told me, I was leaving it out because it was out on the counter in the grocery store, so I didn't think it had to be refrigerated. But once you open it, it's got to be refrigerated. So what I did was I bought a little tiny travel mini electric refrigerator that I plug into the wall, and it takes 0 electricity because it's so small, and it could almost be run with batteries, like AAA batteries or something. It's so small. And I've got these little tiny cups, 2 of them. They look like urine specimen cups, especially with lemon juice in them. And I pour lemon juice into them, tighten up the lid, and put them in that little refrigerator stacked on top of each other, and they stay fresh and they don't go sour like juice will. 'Cause the lemon juice isn't pasteurized, and lemon juice isn't like a fresh lemon still in the skin. Lemon juice is juice, and juice goes bad if it's not refrigerated. So thank you, subscriber, for telling me that. I've learned a great deal from that, and you're absolutely right, and you saved me from getting sick on bad lemon juice. So anyway, the way I make my tea is I'll take a big cup because I don't like to get up to refill it 20 times like I would with the regular coffee cup. But in this big, huge cup, which is about 3 cups of coffee, I put 2 tablespoons of sugar. I used to put, as my old subscribers remember, I would put too much sugar in. I mean, I would put an unhealthy amount of sugar in there, which would make me get fat and, create an unstable sugar system in my blood. So I've reduced it down to 2 tablespoons. I find is enough to sweeten the kratom enough to make it taste like warm lemonade. Because then I'll put a couple of teaspoons of lemon juice, just straight up lemon juice. Because what lemon juice does is the citric acid in the lemon or grapefruit or whatever other kind of citrus you want to use, orange juice, that citric acid is necessary to bind the alkaloids, the mitrogyna speciosa, to your brain cells. It kind of sticks them to your brain cells. Otherwise, if it's just plain kratom with no citric acid, it might just bypass your brain cells and give you very little effect, which is why I don't like those capsules that they sell, because the capsules are just straight up kratom, no citric, no potentiator to activate the mitrogyna speciosa in it. Plus, whoever makes those pills, who knows how much they're putting in each capsule, and who knows if that kratom is fresh, if it's lab tested, if it's got pesticides on it or insecticides or whatever. The kratom I get comes from Amazing Botanicals, and I chose them specifically because their lab testing is very rigorous and I trust it. I researched the lab and it's perfectly legit. And they give all the lab specs on it, 0 pesticides. They give you the percentage of mitrogyna speciosa in the kratom, per gram, and it's a very high percentage, which I like because I'm getting more of the alkaloid, the active ingredient, than I would be if I was just buying kratom from a head shop or in these capsules that they sell at the gas station. And I just think those are crap and a waste of money. I tried them when I ran out of kratom one time, and I was going to a meeting that I had to get to, and I consumed about 12 of them because I was a pretty avid kratom user, so I thought I would need a lot of them. And I took them, and all they did was go to my stomach and sit there, and I felt so sick to my stomach, and I got absolutely no effect from it at all. No pain relief. But Joe Rogan uses them, the capsules, before he works out, and he says it really helps him work out. It might work for him, but it doesn't work for everybody. From everyone that I've interviewed or talked to or whatever have said that the capsules are crap. That a tea, because you're getting a liquid form of that mitrogyna with the citric acid getting directly in your bloodstream, going right to your brain and giving you a better effect. Other ways to consume it would be just taking the powder, which I've seen some people do, and just try to swallow it. But what it does is it gets stuck in your throat because it's just the way that powder is. It needs some kind of liquid to make it move. And I've found that if I just consume powder, that it sits in my digestive tract, my intestines, and blocks it. It doesn't move because it gets stuck, because it needs water to push it through. Which is why I drink a glass of water while I'm drinking kratoms, to actually keep my intestines fluid so that I can have a regular bowel movement. Because there were times when I first started taking kratom and I didn't drink any water. I would just drink straight up kratom all day and all night because I was a fiend, because I was coming off of, the pain clinic had prescribed me way too much hydrocodone I was in a lot of pain, but it was ridiculous. And I think that's pretty common throughout America, especially the southern part of America, which is the opiate belt. And I was prescribed like 450 milligram hydrocodones a day, and I would get a huge bottle, And of course you're not going to take what's prescribed, because you want to feel good, you want to feel high, and eventually you build up a tolerance to it, and it doesn't ease your pain as much anymore, so you take two. And then I was running out, and it was just a bad cycle. I was getting addicted to them, so I found Kratom, and I started using Kratom instead of the pills, and I actually was able to call the pain clinic and say, I no longer need your services, which is very unusual for somebody going to a pain clinic getting free drugs. But I was easily able to get off of the hydrocodone that I was on, which I'm very grateful for, because I have a very addictive personality, and especially in my current state with my physical and my brain damage from the stroke and the chronic pain that I'm in all the time, I'm always looking for a way to feel better. Now I try to exercise more, walk more, because I have a really bad leg because it's got no muscle in it from being paralyzed from brain damage. And I sleep better because it relaxes my muscles more. I mean, if I'm not taking Kratom, my muscles on my left side are constantly going like this, because it's called clonus, which is your muscles don't know how to do one. It doesn't relax, and it doesn't just tighten. It goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, which causes you to shake. It's called clonus, and it's horrible. Most paralyzed people get some sort of clonus, and it looks horrible, and it makes it impossible to walk if your leg is going into clonus while you're trying to walk. And when I get anxious, I get more spastic, and I get more clonus. So Kratom keeps my anxiety at a level, keeps my bipolar at a level, keeps my depression lower, because I feel better, so I'm not nearly as depressed. I could think about the future and that it's not going to be so horrible. I know that my life is pretty much over right now. I'm 54, disabled, never had children. My wife divorced me because I was disabled, and she didn't want to take care of me anymore. She felt it wasn't the life she wanted anymore, so she kicked me out. And the next day I met a man that was an engineer and made plenty of money, and her taking my half of the house, the equity in my half of the house, my entire 401k, my bank accounts, everything, my credit cards, she took it all, leaving me with having to live on disability, and it forced me to move to Knoxville, to where my parents were living, which for a 50-year middle-aged man, that's not really cool. And plus, I'm not the most attractive or charismatic person in the world, so there's no woman in their right mind that's going to want to be with me. So love is out of the picture. And as a child, I always saw myself as being married, very happily married. I was an amazing husband. I did everything I possibly could for my wife, and having children that I raised to be like me, more politically correct and woke, I guess you would say. Live their life based on love instead of hate. I went through my phases, because as a child, growing up poor, I was bullied and picked on a lot and beat up a lot. So I got angry, and I got tough, and I fought back, and ended up being a bully sometimes. But now that I've grown up, was a school teacher for 20 years in a middle school, and I saw, looking from the outside, looking in and seeing kids getting bullied. These are the ones that become school shooters. So I think the best way to avoid school shooting is to give those kids that are the outcasts, the picked on and the abused and the bullied by the jocks and the cool kids in school, give them more attention. Let them know that they matter. Let them know that they count. And let them know they're accepted and loved by somebody. That's what would stop me from wanting to just kill everyone in my school that I hated, because they were so mean to me all the time. And not that I would become a school shooter, because I absolutely hate guns. I went to a law enforcement training course, FLETC, the federal law enforcement, because at one point I wanted to be an FBI agent. And so I took shooting. I went to the shooting ranges, and I learned how to shoot the guns that the FBI used. I forgot what it was called because my memory is terrible. But anyway, I passed all the shooting stuff with shotguns, with the pistol, easily, because, and I passed the entire physical part of it easily because I was healthy, young, a vegan, and I had a lot of muscles because I did construction for most of my teen and high school years. So I was a part of the hardcore scene, which, if you know anything about hardcore, there was a dance floor that looked very violent. Lots of people swinging their fists and doing kickboxing moves, and there would be a lot of physical altercations in that. And I was pretty good at physical altercations. If I saw somebody, a skinhead or a group of skinheads, because I'm not a skinhead, I used to have hair, and when I saw a group of skinheads beating up a small guy because he didn't know how to dance right, that would cause me to get angry, and me sticking up for the bully all the time, I would physically fight 9 skinheads by myself, and usually walked away okay. While they might have had broken noses, lost teeth, broken jaw. The only time I really got beat up was when the skinheads surprised me with baseball bats in the parking lot of the club, and they hit me, 3 of them with baseball bats, took me to the ground, and most of my hardcore friends came out and took care of them with ease, but I still had to go to the hospital with a massive concussion because they hit me in the head right where I had my stroke, which I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but they broke my ribs, they broke my pelvis, and it was a shitty thing to happen. But back to Kratom. Other ways to consume it. If you take it a special way, let me know. Some people will put it in orange juice and shake it up in a shaker cup and drink it that way because you get the acidic acid as a potentiator, and orange juice tastes a hell of a lot better than Kratom and water. But taking any of the Kratom powder dry is not a good idea. So my 20 minutes is up. I've kept you long enough, and I hope you learned something, or if you have any questions, please put them in the comments, and I work really hard to answer all the comments in a timely manner. If I don't, it's because I'm in the hospital again with some other problem, or my mom's in the hospital and I've got to take care of her. But I really try hard to be a part of the comments because we have a great Kratom community. We actually have a name for our community called Kratomites, and if you want to be a Kratomite too, like and subscribe to this channel, please. I have 1,070 subscribers now, which is more than I ever could have imagined for me. I'm just nobody who happens to have a passion for Kratom and likes the YouTube platform. I was a bass player in a band, so I was used to being on stage in front of hundreds of people, but this is a whole new thing, being on video on screen this close to you guys and being in all of your homes one-on-one. I do want to do a live, but I'm a little afraid of it because I don't think I have enough viewers that would participate in it, and I think it would be me and 3 or 4 people, and that's kind of scary. I do want to see my 3 or 4 Kratomites, and I would love to do a live with them because we're like a tight-knit community now. We all give each other advice and help each other out. So anyway, everybody, I love you all and have a great day, and thank you, Kratomites, for being so special, and I'll see you in the next one.